Hello, and welcome to another episode of Picture Perfect with Shawn Lee. I am your host, Shawn Lee, and today we're going to be talking to an amazing young lady, Rosemary. I absolutely adore her. But before I get started, for those who are tuning in and might not have ever watched a Picture Perfect with Shawn Lee, this is how it goes. We are going to talk to my guest, and then I'm going to reveal their images at the end. So they're seeing the images when you're seeing the images. So this should be cool. This should be super fun. But if you don't know what Picture Perfect is about, it's not about perfection. It's about creating the perfect moment to empower, network, and create with others in the community. So that's what I'm doing. I'm using my platform to talk to people I know, new people, old people. And yeah, here we go. Hello, beautiful. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Oh, now I can. Now I can. Yes. Okay. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I am good. So I didn't do her intro right like I should have. So I'm going to bring to you Rosemary, hairstylist extraordinaire, mom of fabulous babies, author, digital content creator, and I feel like I'm missing something else. What am I missing? This is the most important. This is why we're here, because you're going to talk to us about your book. You are a domestic violence survivor. So
I am
that's why we are here. So welcome, Rosemary.
much.
So before we get started, I'm going to have you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who is Rosie.
I don't know if I got much on the introduction you gave me.
Well, I just adore you. So, then there's that.
The love same here. But I'm okay. So you hit on every point. But I'm actually originally from Wichita, Kansas. I've been in Kansas City for about 2.5 years. As you said, I'm a domestic violence survivor. So I have 5 children. My oldest is actually my bonus child. He came from my sister, but I've been taking care of him forever.
Oh.
1 child with my ex-husband and 3 with my ex-boyfriend. And so really the main thing that I wrote my book about was overcoming the victim mindset, because what I dealt with a lot in my life was being a victim. Like every time something happened to me, I always let it consume me. So I guess to say who I am is I'm resilient. Like every time that I go through something, I realize that I am not a victim anymore. Like my mindset made me a victim, not my circumstances. Everybody goes through things. But if you look at it like God is going to pull me out no matter what, and I can help other people from my story, then that makes you not be a victim. But if you look at it like woe is me, then you'll be a victim in every situation because you're the common denominator.
Okay, so I'm glad that you said that. So what's the title of your book? And the reason why I'm asking, because there's a little nugget there from what you just said.
Faith, family, freedom.
Yes. And I'm so excited to hear about your story. But before we get started, I got to ask a top 5 now. For you, the top 5 would be, what are your top 5 hairstyles that were trends ones or still around, not around? What were your top 5 go-to?
Like for me to have on me?
That you love, no, just like that you love, like, or that you've had or you've done for somebody. Top 5.
I love me a good bob. Like at least once a year I cut my hair off and I just love me a good Dora, like, blowing
I love a good bob too.
My thing. I also really love knotless braids. The reason why I really love knotless braids is because I feel like the older they get, the better they look. So like if I get knotless box braids, I like when they start to look a little old, because then it looks more like your natural hair, like hair. Justice type, Pony Justice wasn't knotless, but I love another one of my go-tos is a sleek ponytail. I do my own sleek ponytails, and I love to do them on people as well. It could work for a wedding. It could work for going to work. It could work for an event. Like it could work for just chilling around the house, basketball
date nights,
everything, sleek ponytail. 4. Let me think. I love wearing my natural curls. I don't know. The way my hair curls, I really like it. And so when I see other people with curly hair too, whether it's small curls or big curls, I just love the natural look. I feel like when you see somebody in their natural state, you see more of them. Like, of
Yes,
course, we
I
can all
love.
do our and look beautiful, but in your natural state, we get the
Yeah.
full you, the real you. So I love that. Um, a last style that I would say, let me think. I mean, I don't like
Mhm.
these. These is cool, you know. I mean,
Girl, those are
Alicia
cute.
Keys, you know what I
So
mean?
I follow you. So then I was like, you said, you were saying like Alicia Keys braids, and then I was like, I wonder what they're gonna look like. And then when I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. Like, oh my goodness, like those are so cute. Like
Yeah.
I can't even.
The funny thing is, I did some of these on my friend during the photo. You saw her at the photo shoot. I
Oh
literally my
yeah,
friend.
yeah.
And then when I decided to get this hairstyle, I didn't even correlate to the fact that I had just did these on my friend. Like, I wasn't
Listen,
even thinking about her hairstyle. I just liked the picture I saw.
and it's just so neat and so I just love it. I love
Yeah.
it. One of these days I'll grow my hair out again to get braids.
Girl, I can grip anything. I can grip that. I can grip it.
Well, I'm gonna hold you to that. I'm gonna get a little bit more length though, but
I be
then I'm gonna hold you to that and just give me a little something, something,
I got
I
you.
want some island something just so
I
I
got
can be extra for this summer.
I got you.
Yeah, that's all bad. I should not be trying to be extra. Okay. So give us a little synopsis of your book. Like what can people expect to get from the book? Just a little
Okay.
bit.
I
A
would
little
say
bit.
what you would expect to get is a reflection of yourself. The reason why I say that is I start with my childhood. Literally things that I saw as a child, things that happened to me as a child that even my parents didn't know until I wrote this book. And I also talk about like the music we listened to as kids, the type of TV shows, the type of magazines, because I come from an age where my parents had magazines, the type of that we
Yes.
have around
Yeah.
that that determines what type of things we accept. Because if you're used to hearing cuss words all the time, or you're used to hearing threats all the time, when you get in a relationship with someone who threatens you, you're not going to think they're going to hit you because you're used to hearing that. You know what I mean? So what
Yeah.
you're is looking at yourself like, okay, if I keep having the same issue with different people, then what is it about me? Like, you're going to see how can somebody who had their jaw and their ribs broken still figure out how they were wrong? So if she can figure out how she was wrong in situations so that she could uplift herself and uplift others, then I need to do the same for myself. So that would be the main thing that I want people to get out of my book. Look at yourself. My book is me looking in the mirror while you look in the mirror. That's what my
Mm,
book is.
I like that. And it's interesting that you say that because you said that how can someone have their jaw and their ribs broken
Hmm.
and still look at themselves and see what are they doing wrong? Not necessarily like to have deserved
Hmm.
that, but why am I in this cycle of
How do I
whatever?
jump in my head on the same thing?
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes I'm a domestic violence survivor myself, and so oftentimes I feel like um we're already hard on ourselves, but if we just, like you said, the victim mindset, if we just sit back and think about how we got there,
Yes.
sometimes we can see how we shouldn't have been there.
Hmm.
The things that we ignored, the behaviors, the things that we accepted, and within ourselves and within the person too, but mainly ourselves, because I think it does go back to childhood and
Yeah.
how we all consume so many different things, and what that looks like as an adult when you don't do the work and you don't get any type of help for what you're experiencing,
Yeah.
things like that. So walk me through when you decide it's like, hey, I'm gonna write this book. Tell me what was going through your mind when you decided to write this book.
Okay. That's kind of a layered thing. So I got time.
Yeah, okay.
I, I'm gonna make it into a synopsis, but it's kind
Okay,
of
okay, okay.
so. It had already been on my heart since I moved to Kansas City to write a book, right? But I wasn't ready. I wasn't healed. I thought I was ready, but I wasn't. So I went through a little bit more life and gave my life to God, and then God started really pressing on me to share my experiences on social media. And I'm like, God, I'm in a domestic violence shelter. You want me to share? Like, you want me to? I would turn my camera on and record myself in the shelter talking. And my TikTok went viral. And I wound up gaining a lot of followers on TikTok while I was still in a domestic violence shelter. And I still wasn't ready yet. I still had a lot more growing to do. But in July of 2023, I had a family friend take advantage of me at my house, and I didn't say anything to anyone. But I went to church and I cried like a baby. And the pastor like pulled me to the side and asked me, and I told him what happened. And he said, Rosemary, you need to start fighting. He was like, there's no reason why you should keep allowing things to happen to you. You already know what the devil is going to keep trying to do to you, so you fight. And I was like, well, I just didn't want my kids to wake up. And he said, no, you never allow not one of your kids to wake up be the reason why you let somebody hurt you. You scream, your kids could be the ones who call the police. You scream, you kick, you fight like hell. And the pastor said this to me. So I was like, okay. I took that to heart. And then I went home and I talked to my aunt. She's an apostle, and I told her what happened. And then I was just like, okay. I sat with God and talked to him, and he was like, now it's time. So that night I pulled out my iPad and got on Google Docs and just started typing everything that was going through my head. And it started out with insults. So my book starts out with insults. And so it started out with insults, and next thing you know, I was going to the library a couple times a week and just going live on TikTok and typing. And I would just turn on meditation music, no words, just the music, and just type. And about 2 months passed, and I wrote chapter 13, which was the chapter that really put me in a hard space mentally. So I took a 2-month break. And then in November, I found a lady on this group called Black Girls Write Too on Facebook, and she's an author coach. So I signed up for her program. I was like, God, I don't know how I'm gonna afford this, but I'm gonna sign up for it. It's so expensive. But she coached me on how to publish my book myself, and her team made my book cover and everything the way that I had it in my head. They took my vision and made it for me. And I wound up getting my book published by the beginning of this year. But really, the whole process took about 4 months as far as me typing it. It took 4 months, but I took a 2-month break in between. So I really only typed for about 2 months.
Oh my goodness. You know what? That is so amazing because I'm so proud of you. Let me say that. I am super, super proud of you.
Thank you.
For even sharing your story with the world. Because I know for me, I've had a hard time even wanting to share. Like, I don't think that I've said out loud a few times that I'm a survivor, because I am. It is what it is. And I don't know if it's out of just protection or whatever. But so I can't imagine you was like, okay, I'm going to type this out. And the mental and emotional, you said you had to take a break. So when you took that break, in between there, was there therapy? Was there just you just kind of working on self? Did you stay busy?
It was a lot of spiritual warfare. Because when I took that break, my baby daddy, the one who broke my ribs, the reason why I moved here, he reached out to me on Facebook. He didn't even know I was writing a book. But he reached out to me, started saying he wants his family back. Of course, I just blocked him. But then I started to be like, oh my God, like, I'm writing this book about real events and real people. Should I do this? Like, should I finish this book? Like, why am I finishing this book? What is my purpose? And I already knew what my purpose was, and I already knew that this was a God thing. But that 2-month break, the devil was trying to whoop my butt. He was trying to be like, no.
Get you to self-sabotage and be like, nah, I'm not doing this.
I literally waited like 2 months, and then I had a friend. Her name is Brittany. We met on TikTok, and she's really viral. Like, she has more followers than me. She started calling me like, Rosemary, is your book done yet? I told you I was going to buy the first copy. I was like, man, I don't even know. Like, she was like, what's going on? And I talked to her about everything, and I just like started crying. And she said, Rosemary, you know that's the devil. She's like, you know that this is what God wants you to do. That is the devil. You better finish writing that book, because if you don't write that book, then your story will never touch anybody. And your story is meant to touch millions of people. Like, Holy Spirit was talking to me through her, and I felt convicted. And I finished my book within 2 weeks after I had that conversation with her.
That's what I'm talking about. See, you could have gave up, but you didn't. And I'm proud of you that you didn't.
Writing it. I was on chapter 13. I have 31 chapters. I would never have finished my book.
Oh,
With her.
Yeah, I gotta wait to get a copy of that book. And that's what I told you the other day. I was like, I gotta get my copy of the book because I haven't got my copy of the book. But that's a lot of chapters, and I commend you for going through that process. That's a short process because I know some people say it takes them a year or two to write books.
And
So,
it's I have 170,000 words. That's like unheard of for autobiography. Most autobiographies only have, I think, what does she say? Like a couple thousand words, like barely 10, 20,000 words. I have 170,000 words. So my book was very expensive, and it's even expensive for me to buy it myself because of how much detail I put into my book. And I also have some parts of the chapters that are in red because when I tell stories, I have flashbacks. So it's kind of like
okay.
I wrote it like everything in red is a flashback. And when you read the book,
Oh, okay.
movie, like the way that my brain kind of works like AI. So I'm seeing the movie happen while I'm typing. God literally took me out of my body and let me watch these things happen. So that's why it was so surreal when I was writing. Because like, let's say I'm writing about being attacked. I literally watched myself get attacked as I typed it, tears falling down my face while I'm typing. So I
Oh
watched
man.
it happen to her, but her was me.
Her was you, right? So with that, so let me ask you this, and I know you said that mentally it did something to you. So how did you process through leaving? Like, how did you process for somebody who's watching this that may be in a situation? Like, how did you, once you got away, how did you process through it mentally? Because I know that has to be rough because you're then triggering yourself from writing about it. So, how did you get to the step to where you could be and breathe?
Okay with leaving,
Yeah.
like leaving out of town, right?
Yes. Like, you said, okay, I'm done. I'm leaving.
So
And you left.
I've actually had to do this twice. I don't know if you knew that, but in 2018, I got divorced from my first child's father because he was abusive, and he raped me. He held me up. He tried to kill me. So I left everything in my apartment and went to a domestic violence shelter with her and my nephew. Um, I changed my phone number and I just went no contact with him. Right.
Mhm.
So that's the same thing I wound up having to do this time, but this time I had to go out of town because my ex-boyfriend was much more dangerous than my ex-husband. Reason being is my ex-husband wound up going to jail for other stuff. So
Mhm.
he's been in jail since I left him. My ex-boyfriend was not in jail, and
Okay.
he was definitely the type that would try and come and find me if he knew where I was at. So I went no contact. I blocked everybody that I knew that he was associated with on social media. I changed my phone number. I actually stopped posting on social media for a little while. Um, and really, I went to a domestic violence shelter and started to go to therapy. Like before I even gave my life to God, I was going to therapy and I was praying every single day. I thought I gave my life to God because I was praying, but I didn't change anything about myself yet. But I would just literally say every day, God, I surrender. Whatever it is that you want me to do, I will do it. I don't want that life anymore. I would say that to God every single day because at that point I wanted to die. I did not want to be alive. I was like, okay, this is my second abusive relationship. I have these kids, but it's like I feel like I'm not doing my job. So I got them away from him, but now it's like, who am I without him? Because I had only been in two relationships in my whole life, but that was for 11 years total. There was a 2 month break in between those two relationships.
Oh,
So
wow.
literally always being abused, always with somebody who was using me, cohabitating with somebody who was financially and sexually, mentally, and physically exploiting me and abusing me every single day. So I was used to that. That was my norm. So to be ripped out of that and have peace, I didn't understand what peace was. The peace actually stressed me out more than being in a toxic relationship at first.
Really?
I
So
had to
that could
learn how to accept peace.
okay. Yeah.
And
Okay.
the good thing about it is that when I kept telling God I surrendered to him, he hears our prayers, right? So he sent someone to me. I have a aunt. She's actually my cousin, but she's twice my age, so I call her my aunt. She's an
Yeah.
apostle. Her name is Z. And she just decided to start talking to me randomly. I didn't even know she lived in Kansas City. She, I
Oh,
had lived with
wow.
her for like 2 weeks when I first moved here before I went to a shelter. And I didn't even know they were sisters. Her sister told her about me. And then God sent her to me. She's like, I don't know why, but God wants me to talk to you. She started asking me questions about myself, and that's what made me go deeper than therapy did. Talking to her every single day for almost 2 years, talking to her every single day and walking through my life. And every time any obstacle came, talking to her. Every time anything legally came up, talking to her. Like, I did it all. I did what God wanted me to do, but I talked to her through most processes that I went through. So God sent someone
Amen to
as
that.
like an angel for me. He sent an angel because without having her there, it would have been easy to slip back into another relationship. Because when I moved to Kansas City, I was like, I don't want men no more. And I started talking to a female, and I'm not even gay, but I was like, I don't want men anymore.
Okay, okay. You said I don't even like women like that.
I don't. I
I'm laughing because I'm just like, yeah, I can see where you were going with that
yeah, I
because
was
I mean,
like
you're like, I'm
in
not
two
doing this no more.
relationships, and they were both tall, abusive men. So I was like, I'm gonna get with a tall girl. No, no, a tall dreadhead girl, and she. I'm not gonna get into
No,
that. She still
no.
lives here, but I just was like, no. So I talked to her for 6 months, and then I gave my life to God and never looked back.
So when you gave your life to God and you started making the changes and you did the therapy and you did the work, did you get a sense of like healing and forgiveness? Did healing and forgiveness go hand in hand, or was it more of a I'm just gonna worry about me, I ain't worrying about forgiving?
So it was immediate forgiveness for me. The same thing as when I left my ex-husband. I never was like, I hope you die. Like, I never felt like that. It was always, even while I was in the relationship, I gave them a chance to change. I don't want to be with you. Let me separate from you. And they wouldn't allow me to do that. They would rather kill me than allow me to leave. So I already had peace. You know, before a woman's body leaves her head, she leaves in her mind and her heart first. So my
Yeah.
mind and my heart had already forgave him. I was just waiting on the escape route. So I mean, I don't want to get too much about the book, so I ain't gonna say exactly
Okay.
what happened.
We're
But
not, yeah, we're not gonna
happened
get too much about the book. I
when
want people to get the book.
when I finally left, I didn't have any like, oh, I hate him, because I easily could have. My whole family stays in Wichita. If I wanted something to happen to him, I could have made a call, but I didn't. I didn't want anything
Yeah.
to happen to him. I just wanted to be safe, and
And
that's
I
what happened.
and I think that's the thing that I feel like people sometimes misjudge people who have survived domestic violence, when they say, "Oh, well, why did they stay?" Or then what, like, or why didn't she, be angry, or whatever the case may be. Just leaving and surviving is more than enough,
You
because at
know,
the end of the day, they got to answer to Jesus. And
yeah, Shawn
I
Lee,
am not about to spend my life being bitter, angry. I
come
just got to
on.
do what I need to do.
And I of course create content about this stuff, right?
Mhm.
So I deal with like videos going viral, hundreds, thousands of views on YouTube. People commenting saying some wild things that align with what you're saying. People who don't understand, and I always just give them grace, like forgive. I'm asking God to forgive you because you just don't understand. But I just pray that you never have someone in your family go through this, because they won't
Ever.
be able to tell you. If that's the way that you view people who are in domestic violence situations, nobody chooses to be abused, but we learn how to escape it. We learn how to deal with it. Like it's a daily thing. It's a
It's a
hourly
daily,
thing. It's
absolutely.
an hourly thing. Like, you could be at work and getting threat messages, what I call it. You could be at work getting threat messages. Like, they literally will abuse you all day. Abusers don't just abuse you once; they abuse you all day. So if
Yeah.
that's the case, do you really think that somebody who would threaten you all the time is going to willingly let you walk away? So every time someone says, "Why don't you just leave?" I'm like, do you really think they would have just let me willingly walk away? Because if that was the case, I would have been gone. That's
And
not
that's the
fair.
part, and that's the part when people misjudge. And even before my incident, it was just one incident, but I told myself that I get the why people stay, because sometimes it sounds crazy. It's going to sound crazy when I say it, but it's easier to stay when you don't know better. When you don't know who you are, it's easier for you to stay.
I would say that, and I would also say that it's easier to stay because you know how to control an abuser when you're in the same house as them. If you're
Mm,
in the same house as them, you don't know if they're gonna pull up in the middle of the night. It happened to me. Before my ex-boyfriend broke my ribs, I did leave him. I moved in with my sister. He would come at 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, he didn't care. I know where everybody stays would be the main thing he would say to me all the time. He would
Yeah, I
pull out.
didn't think about that.
So if you're telling me that you're going to kill me and you're going to run off of a bridge with my kids, why would I leave you? Like, unless I know for a fact that me leaving you means that me and my kids are going to be safe, I'm just going to stay here. Because I could deal with a couple of punches and knowing that me and my kids are going to wake up tomorrow rather than me leaving you and taking the chance that you might come and kill us. So that was my reason for staying.
Yeah, and I could see that. In either way, I feel like people should never judge. It irritates my entire soul when people
Mhm.
judge people for staying, because it's like you don't know their story, you don't know their walk, you don't know what's going on with them, and you don't know. And I hope that people who have strong convictions on, well, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you just do this? I hope they never have to experience that level of betrayal and hurt and
Yeah.
disappointment, because it's a lot to take in. With that being said, so it's a lot to take in, and then you still had to put on the happy face of being a mom. How how did you balance, once you survived and you got out and you left and you moved, you're gone? How did you begin to heal, I guess, heal and be a mom? Because I know this has made you a better mom. I've seen you as a mom, and oh my gosh, it's just, you guys are so cute. So I've seen you as a mom, and I know that that has to be a hard thing to shield them from and explain. Yes, they get older, or because you never know what they've seen or what they didn't, see. But how was the the healing process when it came to like their motherhood, when it came to motherhood?
So I'll give you both. I'll give you while I was in it and after. So
Okay.
to be honest, while I was in it, I smoked a lot of weed. I was high all the time. I made sure that the same thing I do now, my kids, they eat at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they have, every single food group. I made sure that when they went to daycare, they were clean. They had everything they needed. I made sure that I played with them at home. They're watching Coco Mill and all of that. I made sure they were good so that they didn't know what was going on. But when we moved here, they started to tell, Mommy, why did Daddy used to whoop you? Mommy, why did, and my
Oh.
oldest was 3 and my youngest was 2 months old. So my 3, 2, and 1 year old at the time would ask me, why did Daddy do this to you? Why did Daddy do that to you? When are we going to see Daddy again? Like, for my first couple of months here,
Mhm.
I was smoking weed and drinking to ignore the fact that my kids are asking me these questions. I was still dealing with them, of course. I made sure everybody at the shelter I was in was like, Rosemary, you take care of your kids better than anybody in here. Your room is the only one that's always clean. Your kids are always looking good. Like, you always have their hair
Yeah.
done. Like, people would tell me
Sister
that.
mama.
And in my head, I'm like, but y'all don't understand that I am ready to die. Like, I
Oh.
don't want to be
Yeah.
here. I look
Yeah.
like I want to be here. So I was very good at putting on a mask. So I
Yeah.
feel like my parenting leveled up when I took my mask off.
Mm.
When I decided I'm going to internally heal. I'm not going to just, okay, let me put on my makeup and go to work. Because I was working at the top salon in Kansas City when I first moved here. Let me put on my makeup and go to work and act like I'm good, even though when I go home, I down 2 bottles of wine or I
Ugh.
drink Jose Cuervo out the bottle. But I'm good at work. Like, I had to take that mask off. And when I took that mask off, it was after I got baptized. I took that mask off and I started to realize things I wasn't paying attention to with my kids and things that I needed to do more of. Even
Mhm.
though I was already taking them to the park a lot, I was already doing a lot with them. There was still more. I still needed to go deeper. And I think when I started to challenge my own parenting,
Mhm.
that hurt. But that was what made me be able to grow. Because when I was like, okay, Rosemary, but why don't you want to do that with them? Or why can't they say that? Or why can't, like, I had to start asking myself why. And when I started to do that, that was when I really started to realize that I had more healing to do than I thought. And I allowed God to heal me in those areas, even when it hurt, even when I'm up in the middle of the night crying because I can't believe I still feel like this. Or when I started typing the book, I'm like, oh my God, that
Listen.
really happened. It didn't just happen to me, it happened to my kids too. So
Yeah.
I started to let my kids talk and I started to realize that even the ones that were 2 and 1 still remembered some of the stuff that he used
Remember
to do.
things. Yeah.
So
It, so did you have, when it was time to have those conversations after you did a little bit of work and you had the conversations with them, did you feel that brought you guys closer? Because I know kids are like, they want to know everything. And then once they know, they're just
Oh
like
yeah.
this ball of, oh, mommy,
Listen,
I love
I'll
you.
pick my kids up from daycare, and their daycare teacher would be like, Kamani told us that his daddy is sick, but he's okay and he still loves him. So like that's what I tell my kids. Your daddy loves you. He's just sick. I actually wrote a poem about it and I performed it before too. Like your daddy loves
Oh,
you, baby. He's just sick, but he's not the kind of sick that means he needs to go to the hospital. He's the kind of sick that we got to stay away from him for a little while. He needs help, but that doesn't mean that he does not love you. He just doesn't know how to love you properly, which is why he isn't able to be around you. But I want to say probably sometime last year, I allowed him to speak with them on the phone because he had contacted me on Facebook. And, he had a couple of conversations with them that he started trying to get his family back. So I blocked him. But yeah, I did let them hear his voice because they hadn't heard his voice for 2 years. And they see pictures of him, so they know who he is. They know his name. Wilhelmina, my oldest daughter, she knows her father's name as well. She hasn't saw him since she was 10 months old, so she used to think their dad was her dad because that's who she saw since she was 6 months old. But now she realizes she has two fathers and they have one, so they know everything. My kids can run my story down to you better than I can. But they're at a healthy place with it. Now they don't say, Mommy, why did Daddy used to whoop you? Because that used to be the main thing. They would cry about it. And now they're like, Daddy used to da 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 da, but Daddy's just sick. He's okay. Daddy's he's at the hospital. He's fine. That's what they say. So,
that is so cute. They're so cute. I cannot wait to get a hold of the book because I've been telling myself, because I've been seeing your little blurbs and I've been trying not to see them. I've been trying not to see nothing because I was like, I don't know, no. Just let me read it myself. So I am looking forward to reading the book
that makes
because
me feel so good.
I am because, well, and I guess so for you guys who don't know, I met Rosie at a salon. And so I met her at a salon, and then she introduced me to somebody else to take pictures of. But this girl's spirit is so phenomenal. It was just something about her. So when I tell you guys I'm excited for this book for her, I am proud of her because I've seen just from her social media, but I've also interacted with her and the kids. I've seen her as a mom. She's just an amazing mom. And she's such a sweet. I'm tearing up because it's like, you've done such a good job. And
Girl,
I'm
it's
just,
about to make me cry. Oh, that,
I know,
man.
I'm so crazy because it's like, I just think about people who don't share their stories that could be going through exactly what you've gone through or what I've gone through, and they don't share their stories. But then when you see how somebody comes and they're just this bright soul, so you know it's possible to heal and to move past your past. However, your past is not your future. And I feel like when you say change your mindset of being a victim, I feel like some people sit in that. Like they just sit in, this has happened to me. I will never be this X, Y, and Z. I'm not good enough. And they don't do the work. And I feel like they just live their lives in this hell. And I'm just glad that you were able to share your story, get your story out, and actually process through it to be this amazing mom and dope hairstylist. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's nice to see. It's just nice to see. So I'm excited for you for that because that is a huge deal.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask you another question about writing. Did you have to, I know you said you wrote it in like four months. So when you were going through the process, the editing, did you feel like you should take some things out because it would be way too much for others to process? Like, did you do the self-sabotage that I talked about before? Like we talk our stuff out of stuff. Could it have been longer or was it just the right amount?
Can I be honest?
Yes.
I didn't edit my book. I had somebody else edit it for that very reason. Every time, because I have my book on my phone before I even print it, and it's still on my phone. Every time I read out of my book, I'm like, should I say that?
Okay.
That's a real person.
Okay.
That's the devil saying that, the devil's thinking that.
Okay.
Or my ex-husband's sister wrote me not too long ago and said, "You dumb B, nobody cares about you. Why would you talk about that? That happened a long time ago. That's your fault. You chose him." Like people say stuff like that on YouTube, on TikTok, on Snapchat. But then I also think about the beautiful young girl that I went to high school with who tried to leave her abusive baby daddy while she was pregnant, and he shot her in her head, and her baby died, and she was 9 months pregnant. This was
Mm,
while I was pregnant with my youngest child, 2 months before I got my ribs broken. I
mm.
think about my mom and how she was abused for so many years, and now she's in her 50s and still doesn't understand how beautiful she is. I think about all the people who have been told that they were nothing, who have been told that they are always going to continue to go through the same thing. They don't deserve anything better because of the type of woman that they are. I think about all of that and I'm like, that's who I wrote it for. I'm a voice for the voiceless. So I'm
Amen.
speaking for the
Yeah.
people who feel like they can't speak. I'm speaking for the woman who is at the top ranking at her job, but she goes back home to being abused and being told that she's nothing. But she
Yeah.
still has to go to work and make that money. Like I wrote that book for those people. I've found people in multiple different tax brackets and multiple different relationships that are going through the same thing, if not
Yeah.
worse, that I went through, who feel like
Listen.
they can't go. I have conversations daily with women who feel like they can't go. But if I go this, but if I go that, but if I go, I'll look like, but if I go, he'll look like, all the ifs
All the
is the reason
ifs.
why they stay. And I'm like, but what if you don't wake up tomorrow? But what if he pushes you so hard that you hit your head on the corner or something and now you have an aneurysm and die? What if he actually does shoot you this time? Like I that's the way I look at it. And I
Yeah.
have zero tolerance for it now.
Oh, girl, you just give me chills because I'm just kind of like, when you think about it like that, it's just like you can't afford not to leave. You
You
just
can't,
cannot. You can't afford not to
because
leave.
if he does try to do the stuff he said he was gonna do, 911, move out
Yeah.
of town, go to a domestic violence shelter. Now that I understand what you can do, no excuse means anything to me. Every excuse is just that, an excuse. Because
And
now
I
that
like,
I understand that you can go, no, there's no
and
excuse.
that's why and I like that you are being an advocate and you are talking to people who are thinking those thoughts that you once thought, but now that you know that it can be done, you're like, no, honey, no excuse. We can do this. It can be done. Let me show you how. And that is like amazing. You are an amazing woman and so resilient, like so resilient. So any last thoughts before we get into your pictures?
Um, I would just like to say, just do it. That's what I would like to say for everybody. Like, it doesn't matter if you're not an abuse survivor. Everybody has something going on in their life that they don't speak about. Everybody has something that they just keep allowing and just keep sweeping under the rug. But just do it. Just deal with it. Just walk away from it. Just expose it. Because if you don't, you're continuing to allow the devil to stifle God's voice in you. You're continuing to allow the world to control your future when you have the keys to control your future just by opening your mouth, because life and death is in the power of the tongue. So
Mm,
I would just say, just do it.
amen to that. And I thank you for that. So now we're about to get into some fun stuff. Now, are you ready? Because I feel
I'm ready, girl.
like, you don't have an idea what you're about to see. That's all
I
I'm gonna
don't.
say. You have
I do.
you have no idea what you are about to see. Okay, so here we go. So we're gonna start with the first picture that I picked. Now, keep in mind, I picked these images because I'm thinking content, because you are a content creator. So I'm thinking
I is.
content.
I is.
Say, okay, so just so you see my vision, my vision. Here we go. Why am I not? Oh, am I in the wrong thing? Yeah, okay. Pay me no, never mind. Please pay me no, never mind.
I'm going along with it.
Okay, it's added. There we go.
Girl.
So I was literally thinking like content wise. I was like, you see your facial expression, and you know how many times me and you were laughing, and I told you I was like, girl, you got this. Stop looking at me. Like, come on. So That's what we got from.
I love that. I love that. I was like woman all classy and stuff.
Girl, you were so cute. And that's why I was so glad that it came out on film. So this is a good one. Like you're excited about reading the book.
I love that.
This is one of my favorites.
That's my favorite tattoo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
You look so good. You just so good. I was just so proud of you. I just want you to know that.
I'm proud.
That's a good one. Look at
girl.
the smile. I was just trying to get you to give. I was like, girl, no, give me the smile. I know the smile. I see you smile all the time. Can I have the smile?
Well, I got dimples. That's cute. I love
and then this one, it's a further back shot. So you're waiting, you're reading, and you're waiting. So super cute, legs crossed.
Girl.
This shit's so good, girl. I'm so proud of you. And then this is the last one.
What? I know that picture. When did I do that? I love it.
Yeah, I was like, you can kiss the past goodbye. You have elevated to the next level in life. So
Shawn Lee, oh my God. Why did you have to do this to me?
Sorry, well, you to yourself because you looked really good, honey. I was excited. I said, okay, this girl did this.
Girl, I've been stifling tears this whole time.
Well, you were beautiful. You did an amazing job. And you just now saw what I have been seeing in you. So I was glad that you trusted me enough to harass you and get it out because I know you but you know how I am and I know how you are. And that's why I say, you know that what I'm saying and pulling it out of you, I'm not being aggressive or I'm not being mean. That's, but you look so amazing. You look amazing. You did an amazing job. So I'm so excited.
God has been showing me for the past 2 years myself in a purple suit with like a microphone in my ear, standing on a stage talking. This is before I even wrote my book. And those pictures just like showed me what I've been seeing in my visions. Like I have vivid visions. And I'm like, okay.
That's you.
That's
you, girl.
That's what he's been showing me. But the only difference is I'll be standing up with a microphone in my ear. Like, this is God, man.
And you still gonna have an image of that too. Because you about to go on your book tour. Then you're gonna have your speaking engagements. Hello. It's happening. It's happening. Oh! It is happening. Okay?
God.
It's happening. Yeah.
This is crazy.
And now you can see your vision. You saw it. You saw it firsthand. So yeah, you did that and you earned every bit of that because I feel like oftentimes we don't see our vision come to life until we see the imagery. And that when I was going through it, I was like, oh my God. So when I was picking them, I was like, this is going to allow her to see I'm an author. I am an author. And here we go.
Let me tell you, whenever you are in a domestic violence shelter, you get looked at like you're the bottom of the totem pole because not only are you and your kids like in a government assisted place, but you are battered and you are going through like legal things. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just 2 years ago, that was me. And now I'm like, a semi-finalist at Kansas City People's Choice Awards. Now,
hello, because you got my vote. Hey,
like I'm saying, like it was just 2 years ago. I literally was in a domestic violence shelter where I had to go and ask for diapers and ask for tissue and like go up to the desk and ask for things like this. And now it's like God done changed my whole life around, and now I'm in a whole different mental place. Even if I'm not there financially yet, mentally, I'm a totally different person. And I can't give the praise to nobody but God. And that is
and I have witnessed firsthand him working on you from the time that I've met you until now. That growth, like literally, you wrote a freaking book. You wrote a freaking book. That is amazing. And I am so proud of you. I want you to continue to share your story. I want you to continue to be resilient and fearless. And just know that you are touching lives. And I mean, I can't control the trolls on the social media, but those are people who don't understand the experience, and they probably will never unless they go through it themselves. But just know that you are doing purposeful work, and that's it. That's all you need to know, is
Yes,
that you are on the right track and you got this.
I received that. Thank you
You
so
got
much.
this, girl.
I received that.
You got this. You got this. You got this. And that is it. So that was painless, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like sometimes we get nervous about being, because I know sometimes I do, but I was like, this is gonna flow because it's Rosie. I knew that it was gonna flow because it was you. So I'm just glad that you were available.
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much. I love you. I'm
I love you.
so proud of you. I just need you to know that, because you're doing something awesome.
Thank you,
You
Shawn.
just keep on the path, and continue to give your own self grace sometimes, because I know we need it and some people don't, but don't give themselves grace. But I see you doing big things, and I'm
Thank
gonna be there to capture some of it. Just so you know, I'm gonna be there to capture some of it, because I know that when you need me, I'm gonna be there. So you just know that. Like, I'm very proud of you.
you.
So you got this. You got this. I'm looking forward to seeing the book in person and reading it. Yeah, yeah. Is there any plans? I'm just gonna ask this question. Are there any plans on doing an audio
Yeah. Yes, yes,
version?
yes. So,
Okay.
every version of the book costs a little more paper. So I'm gonna do
Yeah.
a version. I gotta go to a studio, record myself, and then get another ISBN number and post it. So it's in the works. It's in the works.
Okay. Okay. Because I'm just asking because that's how I be listening to books. I be
Yeah.
listening to books because
I've had people
when
ask
you
me to do
driving at
audio with
work.
my voice. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I got to get the studio if you want my voice. I mean, I can do where it's like I just got the paper and then you could pick a voice. But if you want my voice, I got to get in the studio and do that, pay for studio time and all. So
Yeah.
it's coming. Like I'm balling on the budget
Okay.
now.
Oh
So
yeah, it's coming. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Right now, you're gonna just need to focus on the book tour and the speaking engagement. So you just,
yeah,
you that'll come. That will
it's
come.
coming. And also, I'm speaking into existence. A movie is coming too, because God
Oh,
book was going to be a movie, and the way that I wrote my book is already like a movie. I just need to screenwrite it to where like people have lines, but it's going to be a movie too.
okay, girl. Listen, I am with it. Do you hear me? I am with it. So how can people get a hold of you? Give us your social,
Okay.
your all of that. Give us your
So
information.
the Rosie Experience, spelled exactly how it is on the screen. That's what I am on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, well, X. It's the Rosie Experience. Also have a podcast on Spotify, audio podcast. It's on Spotify and Apple Podcast. The Rosie Experience as well. My personal Facebook is Rosemary Simpson. So
Okay. And it's a wrap for us. I'm so excited. I'm excited. See, this joy in my heart.
amen.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being on here today. This one hits a little different because it just does. So I'm just glad that you were able to be on here today.
Thank you for having me, Shawn. I've been waiting to get in.
Course, of course. So I'm gonna take you off real quick. I'm gonna do my wrap up, and then I'm gonna chat with you some more. So
Okay.
just hold tight.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Picture Perfect with Shawn Lee, and that was Rosemary. Don't forget to follow her. I will make sure that I include all her handles. Well, it's just one handle, but on her different social medias, so you guys can have that. And be sure to go and support her and get the book. Get the book, because I'm gonna get the book, and then we can read it, and then maybe we can have like a book club or something. We'll think of something, or maybe we could have a open panel about something. Yeah. Okay, so I see some things. Okay, so yeah, just make sure you guys support my girl. She is doing good things with her heart. And I just am glad that she was able to be on the show and be a part of today. So don't forget, Picture Perfect is not perfection. It's about creating the perfect moment to empower, network, and create with those in the community. So until next time, I'll see y'all later.